Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Common Sense Newsreel. Jamie Allman with you. Interesting story today about the red light cameras. Our buddy Jim Lemke causing some trouble in the city of St. Louis by telling people to basically ignore their tickets when they get them from a red light cam. And actually, he's right. They never follow up on this stuff, but I'm not encouraging you to do that. Mayor Slay's all in a Twitter about the whole deal and angry, but Lemke is trying to actually push this proposal to actually ban red lights, and that's why he's doing that. But I don't know, he may be right, but I'm not encouraging you to do that, especially not in your Ford. Yeah, thank you. Auto Plaza Ford, my new sponsor of the Allman in the Morning show. Proud to be associated with Ford. And yeah, Ford does indeed have a better idea. And the better idea is to not take bailout money. Yeah. And they've also come up with a great product in the form of the Taurus and the Fusion and all kinds of other, the Flex. It's all beautiful stuff. And so I encourage you to visit my guys at Auto Plaza Ford right there in Maplewood, right off of Big Bend and 40. So I certainly appreciate them. All right, so interesting news coming out of Phoenix with the Phoenix Suns deciding today. Oh, by the way, happy Cinco de Mayo. I don't really appreciate the people who are saying that we ought to boycott Cinco de Mayo because we're all opposed to illegal immigration. I mean, Cinco de Mayo, after all, is actually a celebration of Hispanic heritage and legal Hispanic heritage in the U.S. So don't get your undies in a bundle about that. Go ahead and have your margarita, have your guacamole, and praise the people who have taken the time and the effort to actually become legal American citizens. This is a diverse, fantastic country, which is why I can't believe that Canadian citizens like Stephen Nash of the Phoenix Suns, just for today, however, they will be the Los Suns there in Phoenix, even though I guess it would be technically the Los Souls, but it should be Los Suns. And Nash is saying that this Arizona immigration law just encourages racial profiling, all that kind of stuff. This from a guy who is here on a work visa, making a ton of money with the Phoenix Suns, and daring actually to criticize not only the state of Phoenix, state of Arizona, but also the United States, as far as I'm concerned, through effect. And to me, it's reprehensible. He ought to be celebrating this country because, after all, the reason why we have 14 million illegal immigrants here who are not in handcuffs is a statement to our magnanimity and our welcoming, sometimes to our peril, but nonetheless, it's a good measure of just what a great country we are, and sometimes to our peril, we allow people to exist here even though they actually shouldn't be here. Not to mention the fact that we're as diverse as any nation in the world, so that ought to be celebrated too. But no, the Phoenix Suns have decided they're going to take a political stand, and I hope they pay for it in droves. Speaking of political stances, is it okay for the Obama administration and Eric Holder and the gang to have given Faisal Foshizzle his Miranda warning? Well, as far as I'm concerned, these guys are in a rock and a hard place. It's the same position that President Bush was in. President Bush gave the shoe bomber, those guys, they gave the shoe bomber his Miranda rights because the shoe bomber happened to be a citizen of this country. And no different with Faisal Foshizzle, who is a citizen of the country and, in fact, is entitled to the Miranda rights. But you know what? I understand the argument against it, but keep in mind, these guys, at the time they arrested him, were in a situation where had they not given him his Miranda rights, any information they were able to glean from him would not ultimately be admissible in trial. And I realize it's kind of a weird thing. You're like, okay, wait, you tell him he has the right to remain silent, but you're depending on his information. But there's a tactic involved there where you get as much information as you can, and it's free after you have given them the Miranda rights, because the exclusionary rule, as supported by the U.S. Supreme Court, says that anything given before you give them the rights is not admissible in trial. So I think it might have been a situation where they just didn't really know what to do at the time. They needed as much information as they could do, as they could get from Faisal Foshizzle, so they decided to go ahead and give him his rights, read him his rights, and then get that information. But again, second guessing is so easy in a situation like this, but as I've always said, I decide that I'm going to stand by the president before I stand by any terrorists. And hey, listen, they made a decision, and he's a U.S. citizen, and he deserved to be read his rights. Bottom line. Now, interestingly enough, we had a couple of things on Allman's electric stove that you could look at. Contessa Brewer expressing her disappointment that Faisal Foshizel did wind up actually being a Muslim. I'm sure that she was preferring him to be a white guy who attended a tea party or listened to Allman in the Morning or Glenn Beck or you name it. And it's really weird how these people are talking about this and how they're disappointed that it wasn't the white person who was opposing Obamacare or something else that they actually all hoped it would be. Mayor Bloomberg and Katie Couric and Contessa Brewer. And then we had the other guy from CNN saying, well, looking for any excuse but the fact this guy actually hates America because he's Islamic jihadist, possibly. They're like, well, maybe actually he was disturbed by the fact that his home was being foreclosed upon. So now we have a new reason for terrorism in this country, thanks to CNN, that the guy's home was being foreclosed upon. This is crazy. And at one point, I was hoping during the show that when I got news that BP was putting that dome, that big gigantic dome over the leak there in the Gulf, that they had maybe an extra dome that they could bring to put over the heads and the mouths of some of the people in the mainstream media. Thanks a lot for watching the Allman in the Morning newsreel, the Common Sense newsreel, and also make sure to tune on in tomorrow from 6 to 9, the Allman in the Morning show, Common Sense Radio, and don't forget also we have that webcam up and running there, and you can reach that at 971talk.com. Have a great day, everybody. Happy Cinco de Mayo.